Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming back at you with a wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to be assembling these Ghar Outcasts. These Ghar Outcasts, you can get them separately, or you can get them as part of the Ghar Empire starter army. Okay, so now they come in a little blister like this. Now this Ghar pack here has more than just the Outcast. It also has the flitters in it, so I need to take the flitters out and move them to a separate location. Let me do that, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. Now I've got I'm back, and I am looking at these models here. Now let me get these models out of this package and set them out. I do want to point out that every single one of these Ghar Outcasts that come in this box are different. There are no duplicates. Now, what I'm getting is 6 Ghar Outcast soldiers and 1 Ghar Outcast loader for the walker. Okay? Okay, now as a point of emphasis, the walker does go on a 40mm base. Right? Yep. And they do provide enough 1-inch bases for your troops, like for bolt action or what have you. That's the same type of base from Warlord games. I'm not going to use those. I'm actually going to use 1-inch fender washers, and the reason why is because I need more of those bases. No, the reason why is these metal models are top heavy on a plastic base. So if I put them on a metal base, they'll actually be it'll be more secure and more stable. And because they come with their own ground bases, that would definitely easily cover any hole in a fender, so that when I go to flock it and stuff, you don't have to worry about the hole. Okay, so now all these models is trimming and gluing to these bases. So I don't feel like I need to show you how I trim, but basically I just take an X-Acto knife, find the pewter or whatever part of the model that's not supposed to be there. It's just part of the mold lines or what have you, and I look over the entire model for mold lines and make sure you do a really close inspection. This model has no mold lines. Okay, except for under the base. And I take my X-Acto and I trim it off to make it as smooth and as flat as possible. And then I just put it on the ground just to see if it stands, and it does kind of wobble a little bit. So maybe it just needs one more little. Yeah. And then I take my fender washer, and then I am going to, well, before I put this guy on here, he looks like he's leaning back a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some pressure to lean him forward. There you go. Setting him down. Now I'm going to take my rapid fuse from DAP, and I'm going to put a very little bit of glue on the base. There we go. Just a little bit of glue on the base. And I'm going to put some glue on the ends. And then I'm going to give it just 10 seconds. And then I'm going to apply, and I'm just going to lay it on top. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure, count to 10. Let go. That guy's pretty much finished, right? And that's how I'm going to do all of these, except for this guy. We're going to save him for last. So I'm going to trim these, glue them to their washers, and then I will be right back to show you how we do those. All right, now another thing, before you go gluing or painting any metal miniatures, be sure, and some plastics, but mostly pewter metal miniatures, you want to make sure that you wash these thoroughly with soap and water and allow them to dry, because there is mold release still on the pewter, and that mold release will prevent any priming or base coating of your model with it could cause your paint to flake off because it's not gripping the metal. So be sure to wash them, and I use like a stiff bristle brush to get in there and scrub out all of the mold release, which is kind of a powdery substance. All right, so now I'm going through the walker here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about assembling the walker. The first thing I'm going to do is go through and see if I see any mold lines that I definitely can't live without. And it looks like there's one on this guy's face, actually. Yeah, okay. I might have to use that as a scar or something. This Ghar with a scar. Okay. But everything else, all the other mold lines seem to be gone except for maybe this one. And what I'm doing is I'm using my X-Acto knife to scratch backwards. I'm pulling it back to scratch off or smoothen out any of the mold lines or any burrs or anything like that. Okay, so this piece is good to go. Now there are 3 legs, because I think the Ghar, for some reason, all their vehicles like to have 3 legs. So I'm going to get rid of these off of the metal sprue here. Here, we put it up there. And these have quite a bit of metal flashing, so we'll take some of that off of there. Okay, looks good. Now let's go to the next one. It's a giant piece of flash on that one underneath. Okay, that looks good. Now this next one. I believe this rounded piece at the end is the ball socket, or the ball joint that goes in the ball socket. Scratching off any mold lines. That looks good. Those legs look good. And then we'll get to those pieces here in just a second. Okay, now this sprue here has 2 major pieces. It's got the left arm, which is holding the, I guess, the control yoke. And we're going to have to break it off of its sprue. And then this arm, which is possibly the left arm, connects to the control yoke on the other side. A lot like a weapon. You know how when you put the weapons together on most of the figures, you glue the left arm on, then you glue like the right arm with the weapon to the left arm, that kind of stuff. Okay, the inside of this looks like it's got quite a bit of mold lines we've got to clean up. Okay. All right, so we got the legs, we got the arms, almost 100% trimmed. Okay. So let's take this body. I want to glue the arms on before I do the legs. This arm plate looks like it's going to go right inside there, right, as a control yoke. You can go left, right, left, right, whatever. And then the arm, shoulder here needs to go into the Ghar's shoulder. There you go, just like that. Now my question there, if that's like that, I should have no problem positioning this no matter what. Okay, good deal. So we'll take those out. You notice how I tested it before I applied any glue. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some glue on the bottom portion of this inside of the yoke. And then I'm going to apply some glue into his shoulder socket. Okay. We're going to put that control yoke inside, and his elbow, his shoulder. So it looks like a little disconnect there, which is good because it's supposed to be a separate piece that you can move around, or like he could move around. Okay, so now on this one, since that's the end of his hand, right there, we're going to put some glue on his wrist. And then we're going to put some glue inside this other elbow socket. Using my tweezers, I'm going to put the elbow in, or the shoulder in, and then I'm going to pair up the hand. There we go. Just like that. And then I'm just going to hold it for a few seconds. So that the glue can grip. There we go. So now he's got the control yoke in his hands. And then on the other side, he's gripping the control yoke as well. Okay, so while that's in the process of drying, I'm just going to turn this upside down so that I can see the 3 hip joint sockets, whatever you call them. And I'm going to put a little drop of glue in each one of them. I said a little drop, and here I am putting a big drop. But that's okay. Now all 3 of these legs are exactly the same. And remember, they all have to fit on that, but there's no matter what I do, no matter where I position them, they're going to fit. So the one in the back, these are all the same, so it doesn't matter which one I use. I'm going to touch the glue, and to get it onto the ball joint and I'm going to separate it. I'm going to let it dry for just a few seconds like that, separated. Keeping separated. Okay, and then I'm going to line this up. And I'm going to apply some pressure. Or not. Okay. Now we'll apply some pressure. And I want the point to go up a little bit, so I'm bringing it up. count to 15. Can you count to 15 with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Those weren't 15 seconds. That was just me counting to 15. And that's one leg. Let's touch the glue. Whoa, let's get it facing the right direction. And then getting the glue on this and that, letting it dry a little bit. It is already kind of sticky. Now I could put the legs a little bit further forward, or I could put them in more, out more. It's a ball, so you can put it, and you can even angle it, tilt it one way or the other. But I'm going to try to put this fairly even. There. What we're going to do is we're going to let this, I'm going to hold it in my hand. We're going to let this dry for, I don't know, 2 minutes, maybe not even that long, but just long enough for the glue to grip them so that when I flip it over, I can glue it onto this base here. All right, so what I did was, I kind of did this off camera, I'm sorry. I put a drop of glue on each of the 3 legs, and then I put the base on top of the 3 legs to allow me to just move around just a little bit until I figured out exactly where I wanted to put it. Okay, so we took some time to allow it to dry. Now let's just flip it over and sit it down, and that's, whoops, sitting on something. And that's what that little walker looks like. Now let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to show you each of these models. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. They kind of look like they've got almost an ape-like face. It's really nasty. And then he's got a gun with a magazine on the top, it looks like. Kind of an alien design. Very scrawny and thin. And he's carrying some kind of backpack. I don't know the lore behind it, so I can't really tell you. Because I'm a noob. Okay, let's look at the next guy. I laugh about this model. He's shooting. There's his head, right? But he's looking over a wall or something, and he's shooting over something because he doesn't want to get shot. He's not aiming or anything. He's just shooting over a wall. These guys are carrying... Oh, is that a grenade or something? Could be. Or extra magazines, or he's got a utility belt of some kind. That's definitely cool. This guy's hugging his rifle like, you know, and he's screaming something. All right, and then, well, hold on now. This guy's kind of hugging his rifle as well, but he's not screaming anything. He's not. similar, but they're not the same. Okay. Okay. This guy's like a does he have goggles on? He's got some kind of goggles on his head, and he's holding his rifle up like a sand person from Tatooine. Or he's surrendering, one or the other. Okay, and then this one is holding his gun low. All right, and then the loader. Okay. Holding it up, looking up, like he's going to give it to the guy in the back of the walker, right? Like he's trying to load the weapon on the walker. And then he's got a bunch of these he's got a bunch more in his pack that he's carrying. Not really a pack, it's just like something strapped onto his back. And then the walker, right? He's got those magazines under his gun right there. And he's up here steering and shooting. These will look awesome once they're painted. Alright guys, well thanks for coming out and checking out this video of the assembly of the Ghar Outcasts. And I'll see you in the next one.